Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and salutations, ladies and gentle germs. My name is Neo, and thank you so much for clicking on the channel. So, as I'm sure you guys are aware, I've been playing a metric crap ton of Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition for Nintendo Switch. Yeah, that is a mouthful of a title if there ever was one, but damn it, it's so freaking badass. And there's a lot to discuss when it comes to this particular version of the game. It's been out for a few weeks now, and I've received numerous requests from people wanting to know what are my overall thoughts of the game, especially a lot of people who are interested in checking out the series for the very first time. That's one thing I love about this generation of gaming when it comes to JRPGs. So many series are making a triumphant return in like the public sphere, and it's just so great that so many people out there are willing to give them a chance. If I'm just being real with y'all, it's been a dark couple of years if you are a fan of Dragon Quest. You know, the days where we would go wondering whether or not we would get this game localized, and here we are. It might as well be a first-party title with this re-release of the game, with how much it was promoted. That's just insane to think about. But in addition to people who are asking for requests on, first-timers getting into the franchise, I got a lot of people out there who are veterans of the franchise. People who have already played Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue as well. Edition of Light. People who have owned the game on PlayStation 4 and PC, and they're wondering whether or not they should double dip, or in some cases triple dip, on this release of a game. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk everything about Dragon Quest XI. We're going to talk about the improvements for the Switch version, and we're also going to talk about, because we have to, the controversy surrounding this release of the game. So, Dragon Quest XI's on the Switch, it being the definitive version of a game that came out, technically speaking, 2 years ago. It's very rare, if you will, to see a game re-release on another system, a weaker system, yet have all the bonus content included and have it be labeled the best version of the game. Very rarely do we see that. More often than not, we see that when it's like games from previous generations coming out, like a couple of PS2 games, and they were ported to, like, let's say the PlayStation Vita. They have a updated version, and that's technically the best way to play the game, such as Persona 4 Golden. But it's very rare when we see a game release this generation, a game that's not even 3 years old. It just hit the 2-year anniversary, come out on the Nintendo Switch, and it's like, hey, yeah, if you want to play Dragon Quest XI, this is the best way to play the game on a weaker system. So let's just talk about the performance. Let's get it out of the way, because I know that's going to be a major point of contention for a lot of people. Folks who have played the game on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, people who have played the game on PC in 4K, 120 frames per second. How does the Nintendo Switch version compare? As I'm sure you guys have seen in numerous comparison videos out there, it's not as good. It is nowhere near as good as playing it on PC with an uncapped frame rate, with this fluidity and just the beautiful, beautiful art style. It really does shine when you have more powerful hardware. It's just no contest. If you even just go on YouTube, as compressed as those videos are, and you watch some of the PC footage or the PlayStation 4 Pro footage, the game really does look beautiful. And that's 60 frames per second, even though it's a turn-based JRPG and frame rate doesn't matter as much. When you see it in combat and you see it in the cutscenes, it's just a sight to behold. Now, that being said, does the game look bad? No. In fact, I go so far as to say the game holds up very well. And you guys know me. I stand the Nintendo Switch. I love the Nintendo Switch. My library of games is insane. But I'm not going to sit here and steer you wrong and say that, yeah, the game looks just as good as the blah, 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 blah. So when I say the game looks really good, it does. And this isn't the case of looking good for the Nintendo Switch. It's just a case of the game looking really well. Of course, when you're playing it in handheld mode, it's going to look better because it's on the smaller screen. That's not to say that the docked play is like pixelated or blurry or low res textures. It's not like that at all. In fact, it looks very good playing docked. But if you're stacking it up to the other systems, it's just like you can tell, like, yeah, okay, some parts right here, they had to do some downgrades. But the thing with Dragon Quest, and why it's not that big a deal by comparison to, let's say, another AAA game that uses more realistic visuals, is because of its art style. This game, the character design is from the legendary Akira Toriyama, the guy who brought us Dr. Slump and Dragon Ball. So his art style, regardless of whether or not you're playing it in 4K or you're playing it in 720p, 900p, whichever version of the game you play, it still shines in the end, and it looks so freaking beautiful. So if you are a person and you want to have the best version of the game possible, you're going to play it on the PC or PlayStation 4. But if you're a person who's been playing JRPGs your entire life, and just the concept of high fidelity visuals being reserved for the bigger time, like, I'm sorry if I'm just being real with you guys. If you play JRPGs, 9 times out of 10, you're not playing them for the high fidelity visuals. Like, let's just be real about life for a second. The majority of Japanese games are very stylized, and that's due to the fact that A, the directors are very creative, and B, these games don't have big budgets. They don't have big budgets by comparison to the Western games, where, like, I'd say go so far as to say like 60% of the budget goes into visuals, the other 30% goes into marketing, and then 10% is game development. You know what I'm saying? So a game like this, like, let's just take another game, for example, Doom, for example. Doom going from the PS4 to the Nintendo Switch. Oh my God, that's a very big, drastic difference. But Dragon Quest going from the PlayStation 4 to the Switch, it's not that big of a drop. It really isn't, especially considering that it's a turn-based game. You don't really need it. Provided the game runs well and it looks very good, I'm A-okay with that. And it does. So, which version am I going to play? Oh yeah, I'm going to play it on the Nintendo Switch. Why? Because it's a portable system and I take that bitch everywhere. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about some of the additions to Dragon Quest XI's on the Switch. Now, I'm just going to warn you guys right now, I do not know the entire comprehensive list of all the differences between the two. I know the major ones that have been advertised, and I know some of the ones that I've seen playing the game that are different than the PlayStation 4 version. There's a lot of quality of life improvements that I'll touch on later. But one of the biggest additions to the game is the addition to play the game in 2D. Now, this isn't really new if you are a Japanese gamer or you're a person who imports games, because this is essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, the 3DS version of Dragon Quest XI. That was one of the biggest things that they were pushing in Japan. Whether you play the PlayStation 4 version or you play the 3DS version, you're getting an amazing Dragon Quest experience. One is more for the classic gamers, one is for the new age. It's still Dragon Quest at the end of the day, whichever art style you prefer. And the cool version about the Switch is that you can choose between the two. And that's pretty dope. I didn't really find myself wanting to play into the 2D mode too much, considering I want to appreciate everything they've done with the newer version of the game. But I did turn it on and play it for about an hour or two, and I gotta say, it holds up very well. It's so freaking beautiful. I don't know what it is nowadays when it comes to people, and they just have this whole aversion to playing games with a classic art style. I think maybe that's because there's a lot of indie games out there that are really going for that art style, and that's all they're banking on. But in here, it seems as if, like, hey, we actually made this its own mode because we wanted to make it like this, not just to flaunt it as, hey, we have a 2D mode because classic games. No, it actually looks like they took the time to craft the experience. Granted, I'm not playing through the full game in the 2D mode, so I can't compare the differences with this version of Dragon Quest in 2D to the classic versions of Dragon Quest in 2D. I'm sure someone who's played all the games can point out the differences, like, oh, okay, they modernized it in this respect, it's different, and yada, yada, yada. But from what I've played, an hour or two in 2D, it's pretty dope. So if you are a person who's interested in checking it out, it's there for you. Another big improvement that did not exist on the PlayStation 4 and PC version, technically on the PC, is the orchestrated soundtrack. Now, for various reasons that I'm not going to get into because it involves politics and I like to keep my channel politic free, the composer of the game, when it came to putting it out originally, didn't want to go and orchestrate it. And there's a lot of reasons as to why he didn't want to do that, which we're not going to get into because it gets very, very messy. But yeah, for this time around, they said, nah, we're going to use the orchestra. And it's just so freaking beautiful. That being said, while the orchestrated score is great and while I love it, I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, but I don't really find myself enjoying it as much as other JRPGs that have just as good soundtracks. Because don't get it twisted, the battle music is great, the overall music is cool, the town music is fine, but it's like just it, like I can listen to it once or twice and that's basically it. It's not something that I'm going to have playing constantly in the background. So one thing that I did when I played the game originally on the PlayStation 4 is I played it on mute because I couldn't stand that soundtrack. Just the whole MIDI and the synthesizer, just nah. But now, even though it has the better music, I still find myself lowering it down and then putting on a podcast or something, which is so weird considering this game right here, Persona 5, that soundtrack is freaking god tier, and it doesn't matter if I'm level grinding in Mementos or whatever, I still listen to that battle music. I don't know, it's just something about it. And here it's just like, oh, it's good, but you know. Another game, for example, on the Switch where I love listening to every single bit of the music. It doesn't matter where I am. I could just be chilling, idle in the game, sending a text message to someone, was Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And don't even get me started. Do not even, you know what? Y'all got me started. You asked for this. You asked for this. I'm gonna have to do it to him. Don't make me do it to him. No, seriously, where is it though? I'm trying to do it to him, and here it is. Oh boy, they ain't ready for this. The music in this game? A battle thing? Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy on my soul. You won't see me playing this game on mute. But Dragon Quest, it's like, oh, it's good. That's it. Which is very strange because I thought that with the new soundtrack, I would be listening to it and I'd be bumping it 24/7, but I'm not. Oh well, still good. Now, in addition to that, what are some of the other things that they've included with this version of the game? Well, they've included a lot of quality of life improvements. So basically what they did was they took all the feedback that they got from the original release of the game and a lot of things there that were just, I wouldn't say they were so dated by comparison to other modern RPGs, but they've basically fixed it on the Nintendo Switch version, like shortcuts to particular things that you would access in the game. Certain items now go into your inventory instead of having to like pick them up individually and then all that stuff. Like just little things that you don't really notice at the time, but it makes it a big deal. One thing in particular that I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I touched my PlayStation 4 copy, but they have the turbo mode for the battle system, which, as I'm sure you guys are aware if you saw my recent video, is something that I've fallen in love with. Basically, you can play the battles on fast or ultra fast speed, which is very great if you are level grinding, so because the battles just go by like that. You know, the game is very easy. It's very easy, so level grinding, even though you're not going to do it too much, it helps that you can fast forward the battles. Now, I don't know if that was on the PlayStation 4 or the PC version. I'm not sure. Heck, maybe some of these things were added in by the PC community, because remember how I mentioned the soundtrack technically wasn't there on the PC? There were people out there who modded the orchestrated soundtrack and had it work on the PC version, which was one of the reasons why I said some people might double dip or triple dip in this situation, because they bought it on PS4, then they bought it again on PC to experience all the mods and all that stuff. So take that as you will. Maybe some of these things were present on the PC version, because, you know, a lot of people go out there, it's like, I don't like the way this is running. Oh, well, I'm gonna fix it. You know, that sort of stick. So a lot of these quality of life improvements, if you played the game on PC and you're all about that community, maybe people have patched this stuff in. I don't know. But from when I was playing it on the PS4, you know, some of the things like the fun-sized forge, you can now access that pretty much everywhere. You have a bell to call your horse over, so you don't have to just go to the post. You can see your characters on the overworld. Like, there's a lot of these small things that, again, my memory's escaping me because I've played a lot of games this year, and it's a lot of games that I haven't completed this year. I'm just being honest. So maybe a couple of things did exist on those versions of the games, and the Switch version is just carrying that stuff over, or maybe this is all new for the Nintendo Switch version. In addition to that, there is a bunch of new story content. That's what I've heard from people in terms of missions and stuff and how it pertains to your characters and your party. So again, your mileage may vary as far as that's concerned, because considering that I only put about 15 hours into the PlayStation 4 version of the game, I'm not really at that point now in the Switch version to notice all the extra bonus content, with the exception of the new world that they added for the Switch version, which is like a throwback to classic Dragon Quest, where it's all in 2D. So it's not even just you going into the 2D and you experience this mode as playing in 2D mode. No, it's literally you're playing in the 3D mode, and then this world is just all 2D. So it's nice because you can relive a lot of classic Dragon Quest stuff and everything. So there's new dynamics added to the game. But other than that, I think that's pretty much the gist of all the bonus content. Again, I'm still uncovering all this stuff, and as I'm sure you guys know, a lot of Dragon Quest fans, Dragon Quest faithful, watch this video, so they're going to comment down below an expansive list of all the differences, better than I could ever break down. I'm just going based off of the face value and what I've seen. But the question at the end of the day, should you upgrade to the Nintendo Switch version if you've played the game on PS4 or PC, or you've started a playthrough on those games and you, for whatever reason, didn't finish it, and then you saw the Switch version was coming out in a few months and you're just like, I might as well wait? Should you pick this up at MSRP $59.99? Well, you don't have to worry about that because the game is always on sale on Amazon for $49.99. But my general answer, should you pick up the game? Well, if you are a very big fan of Dragon Quest and you love it and you'll just eat up every single version of the game and improvements and all that stuff, then you've already picked the game up already. Even if you're not going to play it for a while because you're delving into Astral Chain. Yes, I will get to it, ladies and gentlemen. I will. Just give me some time. I know it's been a month, but just give me. It's been over a month, actually. I'm really not helping my case here, but I will get to it. Switch is killing it. If you are a general person and you want to get into Dragon Quest for the first time, then yeah, definitely dive into this, because if you are a fan of classic JRPG goodness, this is basically that, but with a modern flair and aesthetic. Now, is it as, how do I say, it's so weird because honestly, Persona 5, I'm sorry, y'all, you're going to keep hearing me brag about this game so much. Persona 5 set the standard for a modern JRPG in terms of aesthetic, accessibility, everything. Persona 5 was that, Dragon Quest is great for a classic feel, but it might be a little bit off-putting for some people who can't get through, like, oh, this is taking a while. Why is this doing this, that, and third? At least with Persona, it was interesting because the storyline was just so amazing and engaging. And it had the whole school system going for it and the confidants and all that. Dragon Quest is kind of just like, well, we're going along. You're going to go here. You're going to do that. You're going to go there. And, it's one of those things. But the more you play, if you love classic JRPGs, you are going to fall in love with this game. And the characters are so good. They're so freaking good. Everything is on point in it, and it's just awesome. If you're a fan of Dragon Quest, it's just a celebration of everything we've been waiting for so many years. Would I go so far as to say this is the best Dragon Quest game ever made? That's a whole video in and of itself. Very interesting. All I'm saying is, where is Dragon Quest 8 HD? We need that. We seriously need that. These kids out there playing Dragon Quest 11 for the first time, they're gonna love it. Wait till they play Dragon Quest 8 or 5 or 6 or anything. Oh man, 9. Oh. We need HD ports of everything. But I'm gonna shut up right now. I'm gonna shut up. Oh, there was one thing. I know this is a complete tangent because that would have ended the video right then and there. I've noticed the Switch version has more voice acting. It has more voice acting for the cutscenes compared to like the PlayStation 4 version, which is pretty cool because normally, like I said, I listen to podcasts when I play games like this. But now I'm just stopping the podcast just to listen to the dialogue because I like to hear all this new stuff that they've included, So it's like, good job, Square. I can't end the video right now because I have to talk about the controversy surrounding Dragon Quest XI's. Okay, y'all thought I was going to let Square Enix slide. This is a great version of the game, but no. Is it fair that PlayStation 4 and PC owners who bought the game last year for $60 essentially got gypped with this version of the game coming out a year later? Is that fair? Compared to a lot of the things that we've seen in the industry, how whenever they come out with these re-releases of games and everything, like, it's prompted the discussion. The whole definitive version argument is coming back up again. Is it fair for the early adopters? See, I'm very conflicted on this, and this is not because I'm a Dragon Quest shill, so of course I'll be there to support it. It's just, I feel like everything that was included in the Switch version of the game could have been a patch for the PS4 and PC versions. It could have been. All the quality of life improvements, everything. You could have just called this the Dragon Quest 11 2.0 update. And all the bonus content and all that stuff, I'm sure you could have released as like a DLC. If you wanted to charge for it, let's say $14.99, you could have done that too. Would it be kind of asshole-ish to do that? Yeah. but the option is still there for the PlayStation 4 gamers, because it kind of sucks, because this isn't a case of like 6 years later they come out with the definitive version, or it's going from one generation to the next generation. No, this is a game that came out last year. And it just kind of sucks because a lot of people are torn because they don't want to support bad business practices like this. And then now it gets into discussion on who's to blame. Is it Square Enix? Is it Nintendo? Did Nintendo money have for this version of the game? Guys, if I'm being 110% real with y'all know me when it comes to Nintendo. I will praise them when they're doing good stuff, but I will also hold their asses to the wall when they're screwing up. I don't see how Nintendo went out there and was like, yo, put this game on our system and we will pay for all this extra bonus stuff. Why would Nintendo really need that? The Switch is killing it already as is. If anything, I feel like this was Square Enix trying to sell the game again. And how are they going to sell the game again? Well, considering it's not a classic game like Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, where they can just put it out there and sell it. You know, this game is still relatively new. They have to come out with the bonus content. And that's what they did for this version of the game. They had to make it like worthwhile. Even though it's coming out on the Switch, it's going to sell regardless. They had to be like, okay, now look, new content, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of, you know, like, I don't know. You know, it's like, but then again, it's like, but then again, it's like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Dragon Quest fans know what I mean. Anyways, for me to you for now, my name is NGS signing out, and like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.